Islamic Republic of Iran intends to execute 2 female activists from Iranian Kurdistan. Pakhshan, Azizi and Varisheh Moradi have been sentenced to death by the unjust court of the Iranian regime. There is currently a major effort underway in Iran and across the world to stop the execution of these 2 brave women. In recent days, cities in Iranian Kurdistan have held general strikes, effectively shutting down many parts. Meanwhile, thousands of students, workers, human rights women activists, artists, families of victims have signed a petition opposing the death sentence of these 2 women and calling for an end to all executions. Political prisoners from several prisons in Iran have openly and strongly opposed the death sentence. The European Parliament has also passed a resolution opposing the death sentence of these 2 women. We need the support of everyone around the world to oppose these brutal and inhumane sentences by the Iranian regime and to stop all executions.
2 Iranian Kurdish women, Varisheh Moradi and Pakhshan Azizi, have been sentenced to death by the Islamic regime of Iran for the so-called crime of rebellion. Now, these 2 women are facing execution along with other women and men. The regime has used executions since its inception as a way of maintaining power and silencing resistance and dissent. And these executions have been stepped up in recent years. We know in 2024, 31 women were executed. That's the highest number since the last 15 years. And there's been a corresponding rise in opposition to executions in Iran. In January, there was a national strike in Iranian Kurdistan against the executions. There have been Tuesdays against executions that have been marked in a huge number of prisons across Iran. And of course, you have women political prisoners hunger striking every Tuesday in order to demand an end to executions. Executions has been a major way in which the regime has tried to silence opposition and resistance. It is part of its machinery of war against women and citizens. Join people in Iran and across the globe demanding an end to the execution of Varisheh Moradi, Pakhshan Azizi, and all those on death row. We have to stop executions.
I condemn the execution of Pakhshan Azizi and Varisheh Moradi, taking their lives and many others by Islamic Republic of Iran is an irreversible act of violence that disregards the fundamental right of the human beings. Every person deserves right to life, and no state should have power to deny that. As Albert Camus once correctly said, the death penalty is the most premeditated of the murders. Please help us to stop killing of 2 beautiful, innocent women, Pakhshan Azizi and Varisheh Moradi. Thank you.
The Islamic Republic plans to execute 2 female activists, Pakhshan Azizi and Varisheh Moradi, from Iranian Kurdistan. Both women have been sentenced to death by unjust courts. A global effort is underway to prevent their execution, including general strikes in cities across Iranian Kurdistan, shutting down many areas, a petition signed by thousands opposing the death sentences and advocating for the abolition of capital punishment, protests from political prisoners in several Iranian prisons. Also, the European Parliament has passed a resolution condemning the death sentences against Pakhshan Azizi and Varisheh Moradi. We need the support of everyone around the world to stand up against these inhumane and brutal sentences by the Islamic Republic.
حکومتی که یک سرزمین و مردمش رو به گروگان گرفته و هیچ پایگاه اجتماعی نداره، طبیعتاً برای بقایش مجبور هست که دست به خشونت و سرکوب بزنه. اصولاً حکم اعدام و خشونت امضای جمهوری اسلامی برای بقایش هست. حکم اعدام وریشه مرادی و پخشان عزیزی فقط حکم اعدام برای 2 نفر فعال مدنی نیست. در واقع این حکمی هست برای سرکوب مقاومت تمام زنان ایران، برای تحقیر و گرفتن جان کل جامعه است. سکوت باعث استمرار سرکوب کرامت ماست. برای دفاع از حق زندگی باید تمام قد ایستاد، نباید سکوت کرد.
Varisha Moradi and Pakhshan Azizi, 2 wonderful human beings, wonderful people who is hope for hopeless people, who is helped women and children against ISIS. But the Islamic Republic give them the sentence to death, to both of them. And I demand the abolition of this sentence, these execution sentences, and strongly demands we stop the execution once for all.
Today we are in Trafalgar Square as part of a week-long protest against execution of political prisoners by the Islamic regime of Iran. We're protesting to highlight the plight of prisoners such as Varisheh Moradi and Pakhshan Azizi, who are at risk of execution. Needless to say, they are both innocent and committed no crime but opposing the Islamic regime of Iran. We want to say that we are all united and want to send our solidarity with weekly protests that started in Evin prison by women prisoners nearly a year ago and is spreading throughout Iran. We are also calling for an international united front against execution of prisoners. The brutal Islamic regime of Iran is using the execution of opponents as a means of suppressing women's life freedom. However, opposition to this inhuman policy is growing internationally. Please join us in our campaign to bring an end to capital punishment in Iran.
Pakhshan Azizi and Varisheh Moradi, 2 social rights activists who are facing execution in Iran, and there are many other political prisoners who are facing execution. In 2024, Islamic regime of Iran executed over 900 people, and this year alone, in 1 month, they executed over 54 people, and hundreds are waiting for execution. Be the voice of Pakhshan Azizi, Varisheh Moradi, and all the other political prisoners in Iran. Stop execution in Iran.